Well, hello everybody. This is your RV Traveler's Voice, and I'm Reagan, and we're here to give you a little bit of a tour of our campsite for the week at Sandy Creek Campground, Corps of Engineers Campground on Steinhagen Lake in southeast Texas. Just a little bit of orientation. We're here on the shores of the lake. Our campsite is right here on this nice, peaceful water lake. As you can see, as I slowly pan around a little bit, you can kind of see in the background, not a soul on the lake this morning. Nice, smooth, calm water. We're here in early August, and it's a nice, pleasant morning here as the sun rises kind of behind me there to the east, and you can see our campsite right behind me. And I'm standing here on the little fishing pier, almost our private fishing pier, because there really hasn't been anybody out here this week. And I'm going to give you a little tour of the campground, a little bit about the area. We are in southeast Texas, and nearest town is Jasper, about 20-30 minute drive, and they have all the amenities that you need for supplies, a super Walmart and a Lowe's there, as well as a variety of other offerings. Town of about between 7,000 and 8,000 people. And so this campsite is that we're at. Most of these are back-end campsites. There are a few pull-throughs, as well as a mixture of water and 50 as well as 30 amp electric. You kind of have to look at what you're reserving to make sure, if you really want 50 amp, that the site does have 50 amp. They're not consistently 50 amp. But most of the sites are pretty level, and many offer this fantastic view and fantastic position here right on the lake. Offer some good canoeing and kayaking opportunities, fishing, as well as boating. Although they say this lake is a fairly shallow lake, so that's why we really don't see a lot of power boats out here too often. A few of the smaller fishing boats we've seen this week while we're here. And we're going to give you a tour of this campground, and this tour will be a little bit different than others. We're going to start at the back of the campground and then work our way towards the front. So bear with us as we take you all around and give you a little sneak peek at this campground. If you're ever in the area and interested in camping here, you can have a look and see what it's like. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with you. Well, good morning, everyone. We're coming up on the farthest loop at Steinhagen Lake, Sandy Creek Park. This is the end of the line for this park, and it contains sites 25 through 67. It's has a playground, volleyball net, group camping area, group pavilion, restrooms and bathhouse, and a mixture of pull-through and back-end sites, as well as a mixture of 50 amp and 30 amp, along with water at each of the sites. Plenty of sites on the waterfront, as well as sites in the woods. And we'll take a look at a few of those just to give you an idea of what they all look like. So as we enter the loop here, coming up on the sites, and this loop, most of the sites are fairly close together, but as you see here, site 29 on the inside of the ring, nice back end site, covered picnic table as all sites have. It's kind of out in the middle of the sun, but it is well spaced from the next nearest site here, site 30. And this loop kind of winds around a little peninsula here on the lake. And by the way, the lake is a rather quiet lake, mostly calm, mainly because it's a rather shallow lake. You don't see a lot of power boats out here, and water skiing and tubing and the like. Because there's lots of underwater stumps and vegetation here. Kind of prevents a lot of that, but the smaller watercraft and smaller motorboats, fishing boats, kayaks, and canoes you'll find here on this lake. A few more sites down here, all backing in, plenty of waterfront, and a very nice site here on the inside, big shade tree as well. We'll continue to make our way on around the loop. And we come to the last site before we make a turn here on the peninsula, and site 35. Probably one of our favorite sites. Plenty of distance between the next campsite, and no one looking out on the campsite here, looking into the woods. So one of our favorites here. On past site 35, we enter the more densely populated area of this loop. As you can see, pretty much mostly back in sites down through here, a few pulled through sites, but starting with site 36 and onward. Site's fairly consistent with lots of shade in here, but they do stack them in here fairly tightly. But you do have some good waterfront sites here with a nice little fishing pier out there. A place to dock your boat overnight if you bring a boat out here as well. And a mixture of 30 and 50 amp sites. You'll have to look on the website if you're looking at recreation.gov. Make sure you check out the amenities section for each of these sites, and that'll tell you whether it's 50 or 30. Because they do have mostly 30s down here, but there are a number of 50s that are kind of randomly interspersed amongst all these campsites. You'll see there's a bit of standing water around here. It is a little more swampy down here towards this end, a little bit lower elevation. Fair amount of consistently standing water here, even without the rain. It is quite marshy down here as well in this park. So let's move on around the loop. All right, we are approaching the end of this loop, and gets a little bit more marshy. We did have a little shower yesterday, but as you can see, still quite a bit of standing water. For the most part, the camper areas are dry, with the exception of a few there at 57. Plenty of standing water there, but here at the end of the loop, you have another boat ramp. And it's a well-protected cove, so there's not a lot of waves or anything here. So if you wanted to launch a canoe or kayak, it'd be pretty easy to launch from this boat ramp, this secluded area of the lake, this little inlet of the lake. Might be some good fishing out there too, you never know. And we'll continue to go around the lake. And as we come back around the top end of the loop, we come to the nice day use group pavilion here, as well as picnic area for the kiddos, playground area. And you'll see a couple of other sites out in the inside loop area as we come up to restrooms and the bathhouse down here on this end. As we come up out of the far loop, about a quarter to half mile up the road, we come to the dump station. One dump station for the whole site here, and it happens to be down. Been closed for a couple of 3 days. They're supposed to have it fixed soon. Hope so. And we'll make our way on around and up to a couple more sites here along the road. And as we continue to make our way back towards the front of the park, if you're looking for a couple of secluded sites that are kind of off to themselves, want to camp with some friends, or just looking for a good individual site here on the water, sites 24 and 25 are here on this point. A good half mile from other campsites in one direction, a quarter mile from campsites in another direction. As we come on up the loop, we come to another cluster of sites here, and that's our rig at Site 21. But it's a cluster of sites here in the bend that has a boat ramp, pull-through site, and then about a half a dozen from Site 16 up through 23 back-end sites here right on the lake. And we're coming up on sites 16 and 17. They're here along the road and kind of off by themselves. So they are pretty sunny sites. As you can see, we're about 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in August. And so they're pretty much in full sun. And further on around the corner here, we have sites 13, 14, and 15. And I'm going to pause here for a moment. And show you that Site 14 is a pull-through site, but it is extremely long. It is at least 100 yards long. And right in the middle you do have your water and electric hookups, as well as the covered picnic table. Sites 13 and 15 are the only 2 screened-in shelters here at Sandy Creek, and they do have water and electric, as well as covered picnic tables and a full screened-in shelter here on the water. Just past 13, 14, and 15, you'll find a bathhouse, a shower house, and kind of here in the near the entrance, because as you can see just around the corner we are approaching the main entrance and gatehouse to the park. And just past the gatehouse here inside the park you'll find a couple more water and electric sites. Sites 12 and 11, along with a few more sites up here. Sites 10 and 9 before we pass through the gatehouse. 2 park hosts stationed here at the gatehouse of the campground. Something unique about this is where the gatehouse is, but actually, as you'll see shortly here on the video, there are several sites that are outside of the gate, and we're going to see those next. So just outside the gatehouse you'll find restroom facilities and a couple of other water and electric campsites here. This being sites 7 and 8. And further on down this County Road 155, you'll find a little loop here that we're coming up on for sites 1 through 6, as well as a canoe launch. So it is a boat launch for your canoes and kayaks here on the lake. And all of these sites are pretty much tent sites, sites 1 through 6. They're a shared water spigot in various places and covered picnic tables, but no electric. All right, we're down at the bottom of this little loop for sites 1 through 6, the tent camping sites. And as I mentioned, we do have down here a canoe launch. So we'll just take a little walk out onto the dock. We can have a look at the canoe launch here that will put you out into Lake Steinhagen. You weave your way through the swamp out into the lake just beyond those trees. Now we're making our way further away from the main gate. We're going to cross the low water crossing, or Sandy Creek. And we find our way to yet another set of campsites that are outside the park. On the map there, the OFL, the overflow loop, but the local ranger, Elvin, called them the old folks loop. So we'll make our way down to the overflow or old folks loop and have a look at these sites. All right, we finally made it back here to the start of the campsites and the last of the loops. Starting with site 68, 69, and 70. Kind of here by themselves at the entrance to this loop. All on the water, with site 70 providing probably the most access. Right here by the boat launch. And this side has its own camp host that's usually parked here. Looks like he's pulled the rig out for the day. And some very nice showers, restrooms, handicap accessible here on the overflow loop. Where we have, again, sites 67 through 77. There we just passed site 72. Nice waterfront location. And 73. And 74. And just an FYI, that's the last of the 50 amp sites here on this loop. The remaining 3 sites are all 30 amp service as we come on around the loop. We come to the last, this site 76. And the last site being a pull through site 77 here on the inside part of the loop. So that's a wrap from Sandy Creek Park here on Lake Steinhagen in the piney woods of East Texas, Southeast Texas. Hope you enjoyed our walk around and ride around of several of the sites and giving you a look at the park and some of its amenities and the things to do here. And so if you're ever in Southeast Texas, find yourself a few miles north of Beaumont, a few miles east of Lufkin and Livingston, then check out this place. Happy camping, and this is your RV Traveler's Voice saying we'll see you down the road.